You've been around a while.
You know what? It's funny because I had a great year away from baseball, and I needed it. I was beat up, and when I think you kind of own up to the fact that you need a rest, it's probably overdue. But then, being away from it for a year, these guys called, and it just felt right. And it felt right 12 years ago when I went to Cleveland. It had the same feel. And so I'm excited. We're young, and we just want to see how good we can get. And I'm looking forward to being a part of that.
What do you know about this club? I know you get the guy to Ellie, you got a lot of guys that played here.
Exactly. And that's okay. In today's game, that's not ever going to be used as an excuse for not winning. We're going to get out to spring training in a few short weeks, and we're going to get after it. And hopefully our guys are ready to take the next step. Sometimes when you get called up to the major leagues, you're trying to survive. And we're talking about winning, and they're just trying to keep their head above water. Hopefully now some of these guys are ready to take another step and know that they can compete with these other teams.
Tito, you got a really young roster, as you talked about. Was that an appeal for
Yes.
you to come take over? And
Very much so. Just because, and I heard so many good things about them from people I knew here. It was extremely appealing, and young, good pitching too. Because if you don't pitch, it can make life really miserable in our game. And we have some really good young pitching.
A lot of those players were developed right here in Louisville, and you see them at the MLB level now. I guess how crucial is it to develop within and seeing how this organization is running?
You know what? And I think you got to kind of know who you are and stay in your lane a little bit. We're not the Dodgers. We're not the Yankees. That doesn't mean we can't win. But we're going to have to do it with young kids that come through here. And I've told them, the more you're prepared to win, not just to get here, the better off we're all going to be. And I'll be preaching that from day one until I'm done.
Do you know?
How confident are you that you can take this squad to the top of the division?
I hate to ever say I'm confident in that I'm going to do everything in my power to make us the best team we can be. Saying that, nobody knows what kind of injuries you have, things like that. So, I don't want to make too many proclamations. I do know, though, I'll spend all my energy trying to make sure they spend all their energy playing the game right.
There's an excitement for you to be in town, and obviously not just in Louisville, but in Cincinnati and the greater area. To see your fans today and kind of put your face and kind of meet some of these fans and get to know them and hear their questions, how important is that for you?
Well, I hope next year at this time they still feel the same way. So we'll see. No, I'm excited. This is a fun thing. We visited a couple schools today. We went to a couple restaurants. It's fun, man. Being on the bus and we're laughing and telling stories. It's good.
Terry, in your time away from the game, did you get to learn anything about it from a different perspective after being so ingrained in it?
Not really. The one nice thing was not having 162 wins or losses tugging at you every night, because it kind of wears you out a little bit. And as a manager, when you're worn out and you start getting short on patience, and I didn't feel good physically, those aren't good attributes for a manager. You got to be patient when it calls for it. And now, after being away for a year, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I kind of looking forward to the ninth inning again.
You and
Oh my goodness!
tell us about.
I go all the way back to managing against Pat in the Southern League in AA. I want to say in 1994. So I've known Pat a long time, and he's good. And I know you guys got to love him because he's what baseball is, and he's a lifer. I mean that as a compliment.
You go from Pat Kelly to Pat Kelsey. You just met Pat Kelsey right there. Obviously, to see the influence that you guys have on other sports, other groups of people, including right here in Louisville, the U of L basketball team. How cool was that?
That was a highlight for me.
Yeah.
I was just telling him. I watched him a couple weeks ago do an interview with Seth Greenberg on ESPN, and I remember thinking, damn, that guy's pretty good. So getting to meet him and finding out he's from Cincinnati, it just gives me somebody else to root for. Unless they're playing Arizona, then I can't root for them.
Good?
Well, and it's not just Ellie, it's everybody. We're trying to maximize everybody. And one of the things I think in managing is you try to maximize their strengths and minimize maybe what they don't do so well, and then go play. I don't want them to be looking over their shoulder, worrying about making mistakes. Saying that, I want us to be aggressive, but I want us to be intelligent. So we'll work on that all spring, and probably more than normal just because I'm new.
Do you have a favorite Louisville memory or story from the time you got to spend here back then?
And it's not to say it wasn't a great place. I wasn't healthy enough to play in the major leagues, so I came here and played right field on that turf every day. About killed me. But I played for a guy named Galen Pitts, and he was kind of a baseball lifer, and I loved him. And I wasn't very good, and I watched how he treated, like he started pinch hitting for me later in the year, which I don't think he wanted to do, but I watched how he did it, and I learned a lot from him. And so that was probably the biggest thing. People ask me all the time, like, man, weren't you bitter after 10 years going to AAA? And I was like, you know what? It might have been one of the best things that ever happened to me. I saw players that I thought were better than me that weren't in the major leagues, and I was like, maybe you just better be kind of happy with what you did have.
You signed with St. Louis.
I got released by the Brewers, and then I came here, yeah.
We're glad to have you.
I got to play, because I hadn't played baseball. I'd been sitting the bench for the last 6 years. I actually got to play, which I loved. When I say no, and I don't mean no that I'm not excited, I just love every opening day. But truth be told, as exciting as opening day is, I can't wait to get it over with, because everybody overreacts. And then you have the next day off, so if you lose, you got to sit on it for 48 hours, and everybody's panicked. We didn't hit, we didn't pitch. I like getting into the grind and then see how good we can be. That's the part I really enjoy.